Good morning. One question we always ask lots of managers is, are you too responsible? So it's a really common challenge for many managers, and it initially comes from a good place, but a way of actually checking to see if you are too responsible is, do you find yourself taking on too much work to prevent your team from being overwhelmed? Or do you find yourself listening to maybe the personal problems of an employee and taking on their work and then not giving it back quickly enough when they're feeling more resourced? Or do you find yourself saying yes to requests without really qualifying what they're asking for help on? You just hear that they need help, so you just step in. These often come from a good place. It means that we're compassionate for our team, we care about our organisation and the people in it. But it means that it can actually have unintended consequences. It can lead to unfortunate outcomes. It can lead to impacting our ability to deliver. It can impact our well-being. It prevents our team reaching their full potential, and ultimately impacts the organisation as well, because we become dramatically inefficient as a result. So one of the reasons why we get promoted to manager in the first place is because we are responsible. As that individual contributor, we see something falling between the cracks, or we see a target not being hit, or a project falling behind its timeline, and we step in. And if the organisation sees us consistently doing that over the time, what it'll do is it promotes us to manager. But like with all strengths, we can overplay it. And what can happen over time is that our team becomes too dependent on us to deliver, and they don't step in and take as much as they could. So this is the idea is kind of provoked by an article that a client shared with me in 𝗕𝗲𝗄, which was, are you too responsible? And it's got some really nice tactics in there. It talks about the importance of being able to empathise without taking on someone's distress, and we really agree with that. As consultants, we often work with people in distress initially, and we take that distress and we hold it temporarily, and then we give them back the distress when they're more resourced and can work through it and take action about it as well. They also talk about, defining what you're responsible for, and that's really important too. Again, we would go further and say it's really healthy discipline for whole teams to visualize the work. So for everyone to share what they're working on, and what it's the aim of the things that they're working on is to make sure that things are clarified and clear, and we're not doing unnecessary work that maybe needs to be finished off, but also that we can see everyone's capacity, and we can identify to make sure that if there's anything that we've taken on, it's time to give it back to others that maybe are better placed to do it or had it originally. So what it does, it just makes things really clear, and transparency is just such a good way of helping teams work much more effectively as well. The other thing we all say as well is that, when we do work with managers that are taking on too much responsibility and feeling overwhelmed, is you still have to make time to plan. You have to. Even if it's just an hour, what it does is it allows you to anticipate what's coming, but really importantly to make sure that, you're focused on how much capacity you have, and so when you're saying yes to these things, what the trade-off is and what you're not going to be doing as a result, and that makes that decision whether or not to take on someone's work much easier as well. The other thing that we do is we work at the belief system with clients. So we'd like to surface what our beliefs are around leadership, and all leaders have their own beliefs that maybe they just don't bring into the daylight. So sometimes we'll often hear the belief, I must protect my team. And a belief like that can really mean that we constantly fall into the responsibility trap, because that means that, whatever happens, I must keep them safe. But we're not their parent, we're not their mum, and we're definitely not their dad. We're there to help our team achieve full potential and achieve high performance. And so we have to make sure that they take their share of the responsibility. So this whole article reminded me of something my tutor on my master's said. And she said, if you take all the responsibility, what does it leave for everyone else? And I think that's just a really, really healthy mantra for all managers to keep with them at all times, and particularly when they know the triggers where they may be prone to saying yes to things that really they shouldn't.